Hey guys, in this video I wanted to talk to you about 20 potential app ideas you're free to go ahead and take and implement primarily on mobile devices. So this would be Android apps, iPhone apps, or if you're into it, Windows 10 apps. Of course, you can always make a cross-platform app using frameworks like the Ionic framework or Xamarin Forms for C# and Visual Studio. But yeah, go ahead, grab these ideas if you want, expand upon them, use them. If you make an app and it actually uses one of these ideas, it would be pretty cool. You could send it to me, maybe I could do a review. But in any case, let's just get started. So in no particular order, going from the top to the bottom. First app. System warnings. So there is an app on Windows and also mobile platforms called CPU-Z. It gives you a lot of diagnostic information about whatever device you happen to be using. So I believe it has stuff like how much RAM is on your device, the processor type, like how much memory is in the cache. Let's see what else. The battery life. I think it also has like the CPU temperature, so like the temperature of your battery, the temperature of your CPU, all that other kind of stuff. But I think that there would be room for similar apps that kind of do the same thing, but for different categories of information. So if you can go out there and find anything that someone might need to look up about the device, but rather than having to maybe type in commands or anything like that to actually get that information, if it can be contained in an app similar to CPU-Z, that would be a really useful utility-based application to have. So the second idea is an Embed Play section as a widget on the home screen of your Android or iPhone devices. So rather than having to go into the YouTube application, the idea would be to have a YouTube video as a kind of a background widget. So maybe you're navigating to other applications, but you have the YouTube video playing there. And I think it would be even more useful if you were able to have it continue to play as you switch between different tabs. Now, Google does have basically its YouTube Data API version 3. I'm not 100% sure if it would be possible to do with that, but I think that would be really useful, especially if you can just kind of have it there as maybe you're switching between some other apps, and every time you change apps, you can kind of see the video in the background while audio plays. So it'd be kind of a way to multitask a little bit, or just have, background video playing while you're doing other work. So number 3 would be an Amazon product link-based application, and maybe it would be more targeted or better for the web, where users download the plugin for your web package like WordPress, and then they can add in their own affiliate links. That kind of thing has been done. But it might also be interesting to experiment with that kind of idea on Android devices, where maybe you have a Amazon product link creator as a Android, cross-platform mobile application, so that they can create links to links to different products on Amazon. And it might even be interesting if you don't really make it like a affiliate link for them, but maybe it's just like, share this product on Amazon, but then you put in your own affiliate link as the app creator. I don't know if that would exactly work out, but it's not a terrible idea. I think there is a lot of potential for affiliate-based marketing through applications rather than directly selling the application or having microtransactions. It could just appear totally free to the user, no ads or anything, but then somehow you get an affiliate sale somewhere in there. Next up, an upcoming events widget for Android or iOS. So calendar-based applications already sort of do this, but I think you could improve upon it. So the idea might be you tie into Google Calendar and you have an improved interface as a widget on the home screen for displaying upcoming events. Maybe you combine that with some notifications, so it's just kind of taking the user and making sure they're really up to date on what they need to be doing as the day goes on. Yes, it's an idea that's kind of been done a little bit before, but like all other ideas, there's the potential for improving on it. And I think it's probably better to go with an idea that has kind of been done and then to make it better rather than trying to be Mr. Super Creative, because usually, if an idea is really good, someone's tried it somewhere before. Anyway, number 5, location-based reminders. So if you walk into some place like, let's just say a Tim Hortons or a Dunkin' Donuts, and maybe you set a reminder ahead of time and then you tie it in so that when you actually get on location, and of course it would require location being enabled on the phone for your user, so it would require that permission as well, that they can get a text notifying them, oh yeah, you're also supposed to do this while you're there. Or maybe an even more useful use for that kind of app would be for someone who has to travel around for work and they get to a new work site location, like maybe a technician or an electrician or something like that, and it reminds them, oh, yeah, this is kind of what the job for today involves. Make sure you do X, Y, and Z. Idea number 6, deals near me compilation application. So there are sites out there like Groupons where you can look up deals based on location, but maybe you could expand upon that by having it so that whenever you go near a location that has a deal nearby, perhaps it's like a Groupons deal, if their API is open, you could have it be like, oh yeah, did you know there's a deal nearby, like 40% off a restaurant or something along those lines, and it pops in for the user, and then maybe they're encouraged to go ahead and check that deal out. And perhaps there would be some potential for an affiliate sale there because you basically refer the customer to the site or to the restaurant, and therefore you could make a little bit of money. Or it could just be advertisement based, I guess. Next idea, top lists for music with preview buttons. So obviously when you have an application that's playing music, especially copyrighted, it would be a little bit tricky on how you would actually get that to go. And I'm not exactly sure how that would work. Maybe you would have to be a bigger company like Spotify that actually has the rights to play the music. But if there was a top music list, top 100 music songs in 2018, and then there was a sound clip for each one, or it could connect to a server and play that sound clip. That could be interesting. Kind of another way to expand upon that might be using SoundCloud. So SoundCloud has a lot of music that people have uploaded. It could be like the top 100 list on SoundCloud or another service. Basically just pulling in the live data and having that as an application. And the reason for this isn't necessarily that a top 100 list is a super creative idea. When I was going through the App Store, it did seem like these kind of apps do get some downloads, as many top 20, top 100 lists tend to do. It's just something people tend to be interested in. Okay, next up, a Etsy item portfolio, or really you could do it with a lot of different sites. Okay, number 8, an Etsy item portfolio, or it could really be for just about any e-commerce service. So generally this kind of app or plugin would be more directed towards website administration. So you would add in a Etsy item portfolio plugin, and then you'd be able to display the products on your web page. And that's fine and good. You could go implement that idea. I mean, people have tried to do it, but there aren't a huge amount of super good solutions out there. That's more specifically for WordPress, because that's what I know. You could also do it for an Android application or cross-platform application, of course. Perhaps it would be targeted towards one specific user. So it's like you have a site that's already established, and you make a application that just kind of ties into the site. Maybe for an artist, it shows off the best work with links to eBay or Etsy or something like that, or could just have add to cart built into that. Could also be like, I don't know, like a portfolio creator, an app that would create another app. It might be interesting if there was a mobile application which could kind of instantly create that kind of portfolio page, or even another app that basically has all of the items listed specific to the person who's trying to set up a portfolio page. I don't think you can have an app that creates other apps at the moment, but that would be really awesome if someone could implement that. But being able to basically create a page, like a portfolio, an e-commerce page, through a mobile application, that could be interesting, actually. Because generally you have to go on the computer, you have to, download WordPress or go to a managed site service where they kind of just install it for you and to start building up your page there. But I guess it could theoretically be done through a mobile application, especially if it tied into another service out there like Weebly or Wix or some of those other managed site builders. Idea number 9, a Roadtrip auto planner. So the idea here is you have a current location chosen and you have a destination chosen, and you want to experience some of the things along the way. So maybe you're going across the country in a really long vehicle trip, and it will just automatically populate a list of suggestions based on how fast you want to go, which roads you prefer to travel on. I've seen websites that do this kind of thing. I think roadtrippers.com is the one that comes to mind. But having that as a mobile application could also be interesting because a lot of people, they prefer to use their phones. They don't really want to boot up a computer to have access to all of those things at all times. So that could be really interesting. Number 10, Night for mobile devices. So this is one I think would personally be really awesome because whenever I install a different operating system or basically set up a new computer, one of the fastest ways to get started for Windows machines, for instance, but they also have a Linux version, is to use this service called Night, where basically you pick the applications you want to download onto your computer, you check all the boxes, you download one installer, and then that installer installs all of those applications for you without any extra import from you. So you don't need to hit next, next, next on every single install. It's just you download the installer, you load the installer, and you come back in 30 minutes and you have 20, 30 important applications installed for your computer, stuff like LibreOffice or Steam if you like to play games, or 5 different web browsers. It's really useful. So if there was something that could be done for that for an Android device, kind of like best apps installer or most commonly used apps, and then you just check the ones you actually want to install and it goes and grabs those other 20 apps for you, could be really useful. Okay, next up, a course learning deals application. So there are sites out there like Udemy and Skillshare where people can basically set up their own courses teaching people about different subjects. It can be professional based or it can be something a little more day-to-day like a lifestyle course or how to cook or those sorts of things. Now, an application could tie into that by basically grabbing the different links basically to those courses or coupons for those courses and be able to kind of market those to the user in a way where basically they just search for the best deals in whatever category and ties in with a coupon. Now, of course, you could do that for a lot of different categories, but I think it would be pretty useful in basically courses like Udemy because there tends to be a lot of coupons out there, which can save the user a lot of money. And it is possible to get affiliate sales through basically portals like Rakuten Marketing. They're the ones who do affiliate for Udemy. So anything along those lines would be a pretty interesting idea. And of course, because you're putting in affiliate links with those coupons, that's how you would make the money. Next up, most popular products on Facebook, where it converts that into an Amazon affiliate link or something along those lines. So I guess this would involve collecting a lot of data somehow in order to make those decisions. But if you could figure out, basically through data collection, what people are buying or looking at on Facebook or any other platform at the moment, then you would be able to basically take those product names, find the product on Amazon or similar sites, and be able to recommend those to the users in a dynamic top 100 list or something along those lines. That could be useful because kind of going back to the top 100 music playlists, people like to know what's popular or what's good. I mean, usually what's popular tends to be pretty good. So that could be a pretty decent application that, I mean, the data collection would probably be the tricky part, and obviously you want to respect users' privacy, but probably not too crazily hard to implement. Okay, number 13, find best deals from around the web application. So I would say this would be similar to services like Camel, which is a website, which kind of can tell you when deals are happening on the products, and you can have it set where when a product drops below a certain price, it can let you know. Perhaps this would be a curated app or something like that, but you could use data to basically figure out when products drop in price or when a highly rated product drops in price and be able to make suggestions to your user base on which which products out there are currently a really good buy, not only in terms of their value, their review, and the percent of basically discount off of their retail price, kind of piecing that all together and then making suggestions to the users. Now, I think one really cool way of doing that would be to kind of crowdsource which apps are which products are actually better there, where people could vote up and down the products, one vote per device or per user account. And then by doing that, kind of the community or the user base helps to pick out the best products for basically everybody else who wants to use those applications. Number 14, inspirational quote a day. So it would be a really simple application, and maybe you come up with a list of like 100 different quotes ahead of time, and it would just basically pull in whatever the quote of the day is off of one of your web servers. Or it could even use, if there is a such thing, an API that already has a quote a day. But turning that into a mobile application where anybody who wants to see some kind of inspirational quote can just go into your application, see the quote, feel good about their day. Maybe you hit them with an advertisement or something like that, and then that's basically it. So that would be incredibly simple. Based on, what people like to post on Facebook, I think that kind of thing could be something that people are interested in, and it would be really easy to implement. Number 15, Game Deals Finder. So there are some great sites out there for getting deals on games, such as G2A or Humble Bundle. And what you could do is you could kind of piece together all of those different sites into one application. However you want to do that. It could be listing the latest bundle deals on 5 different bundle sites, showing the minimum price, the recommended price, and what you actually get in a simplified manner. So just kind of combining 5 sites into one app in a way. Could also be going back to the previous idea of best deals, where it will just notify you when a product drops below a certain price. So prices are always changing on G2A. So knowing when something actually reaches a certain price point could be really useful there, for instance. And people like to buy games online, so that's no secret there. Steam would also be a good platform, of course, to consider there. I think actually, when it comes to computers, no actual proof for this, but I think most people buy games on Steam. It's a really popular platform. Okay, idea number 16. Random Hearthstone deck generator copied to clipboard. Now, it might be even more interesting if it was kind of a targeted deck generator where somehow your AI has a good idea on how to build a competitive deck. Maybe you could have some kind of self-learning AI where it actually tests these decks against itself. If you want to get really complicated neural networks, all that other kind of machine learning stuff. So it could either be a completely random deck generator where it just spits out 30 random cards for you to play in that game, or it could be a little bit more involved in that, or knowing which cards go well together. Maybe your community can vote up which cards go good with other cards to help the generator make some of those decisions to make it a little less random and a little bit more useful. But at the simple level, a random deck generator would be pretty easy to do. You just have to get the card database and then spit out 30 cards that are compatible with whatever class you're playing in that game. If you don't know Hearthstone, basically it's a card game, so any card game that's collectible that you would build your own decks, you could do the same idea with. So idea number 17, connected Bluetooth devices information. So you connect to a Bluetooth device. Maybe it's a cell phone, maybe it's a headset or a speaker system, and it'll tell you the name of that device, but not a huge amount of information about it beyond that, like what are the details, how powerful it is, what's the battery life. So if there was an application which could get that kind of information, obviously with the permission of the device owner, then that could be pretty useful. So it's like you have a speaker setup. Maybe you want to know how many speakers, is it a 2.1 speaker system where it has 2 speakers and a subwoofer, or is it 5.1 or 7.1? That kind of information, obviously, that's a terrible example because you can just look at the speakers to know maybe like max decibels or something of the speaker. How loud can it go? What features does it have? That kind of thing. I think as a Bluetooth connected device application could be useful. And there's a lot of Bluetooth devices out there right now. So the sky's kind of the limit as far as what kind of information you could theoretically dig up. Of course, then I guess you would have to know how to get the information out of each of those devices, and that might be the tricky part. So idea number 18, an auto-fix application. Now, there's a lot of different things you could have a device kind of try to automatically fix and make suggestions on. Really obvious ideas would be like a spell checker, or grammar checker. But it could also be like your device isn't working or one of the apps isn't working on it, and you have this database of a lot of solutions. So maybe it's like if there's a Minecraft mobile version and you try to install a shader or something like that, and the shader doesn't work, you would have these fixes already set up in that application. So you go into the application, you press one button, and it tries to patch it and fix whatever problem the user is having. And obviously, the more fixes you could have, the better. Maybe you would have 1 or 2 fixes per application. Like maybe it's very specific to one app, like the Google Drive fixer or the Minecraft fixer, or the Hearthstone fixer. But yeah, a lot of people are going to go on YouTube and look for fixes on how to basically fix their application, make it work, what's wrong. So if there was an app you could download just to make it even quicker, where no user input really required, you've already figured out the solution and you just implement that solution for your user, that could be really cool. Okay, idea number 19, podcast downloader and manager. So there's a podcast, exactly that I already like on Android devices called Podkicker. It's pretty decent, where basically you add in a bunch of podcasts by RSS feed to that, and it'll let you know when the latest podcasts are available. You can download the podcasts, you can listen to them inside of the application. I would say the interface is a little bit ugly. And I can imagine that a better version of that could be created. If someone was interested out there, creating a really, really, really good podcast application could be really useful. I'm a huge podcast guy, so I would definitely consider making a purchase on an application like that, since I did buy Podkicker Pro, and I don't regret it. So go ahead, try to do that for me. And idea number 20, Dungeons & Dragons map generator, or really a generator for any pen and paper or role-playing game. I think there might be a couple really weak ones out there when I was kind of looking through the App Store for this kind of thing. But in terms of having a map generator that compares with the computer applications that do similar things, mobile devices are kind of lacking. So being able to basically come up with a bunch of rooms or an overworld map that has all of these features, like what furniture is in the room, what monsters are in the room, what's the landscape look like, that kind of stuff. As a generator, you just click one button, you set up a couple of basically drop-down selections, like do you want a large map, a small map, should it be heavily populated or sparsely populated? I think that would be a really useful app to have on mobile devices, because a lot of times when you're playing, let's say Dungeons & Dragons or another pen and paper game, you actually go out to a gaming store to do that. What are you going to have with you? A mobile phone. So if you could generate a map on the fly, that would be really useful for people running the game, and possibly even useful for people playing the game. A player character generator, another idea there. Some people are too lazy to make their own characters. So that's 20 ideas there for mobile applications, for the most part in there. So I hope you found this list at least interesting. If you want to grab any of the ideas and implement them for yourself, by all means, go ahead and do it. There's no copyright here or anything. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in my future video content.